Welcome back. In this video we are going to work on rigging out the eye. And then we'll be able to clone it to make our second eye. So again, created some art layers here so we have something to work with. So we can turn that on and we'll see the white of the eye based on this character doesn't need a line around it. So if we look, we don't really have a line around the eye. If I did want a line, I'd probably just choose a kind of a light color eye. It's important when we're doing this that we don't just use the default white. So if we look in our color, we don't just use the default white. We want to choose the actual colors that we're working with, even though they look like they're all about the same, because whenever we're doing something where we may be using tinting or more complex effect nodes where we have to adjust individual colors, it's important to have them all separated into our color swatches. So now if I look at this, we can see there is really only the white of the eye. There is no line artwork. Oh, and my tool is still set to select both. So now we can see. Now I'm just selecting, there's nothing on it. Go back if I want my contour editor. Now let's go into our iris, activate that. Let's go back to camera so we can see. So the iris does seem to have a line on it. That seems to be about the shape that we're working with. We have the pupil. We have the highlight of the eye. Now where things are going to get interesting is when we add in the lower lid, because on the lower lid, if I look in the lower lid, it has both a line and then it has this highlight color. Now if I go in my color, I can see I have an eyelid color which goes as a gradient to our flesh tone. So it starts out with the lighter color to a flesh tone, because when we look at the original artwork we can see where there's always just this little bit of highlight above and below on the lids, so that's why I chose to include that. Now if we go to the upper lid and activate that, we can notice that it's not following the shape of the eye, and that's because we're going to use a deformer on it so that we can adjust the shape of it. And we'll look at two different ways we can do that. Then we have the eyebrow here. Once I do that, we can go, okay, it starts to look a little closer, but it's kind of ugly without a deformer on it. So when we look at using our deformer and want to set up with our rigging tool, we really do have two options where we could try to get away here with just using a curve deformer. So if I just draw a line here and then I pull back, now when I grab my transform tool, we'll see how we're able to adjust it, but it does create some interesting, it creates the shape of the eye that we need, and we can pull in and out. That's great. And we select the whole lid. If it had a peg on it, well, that's not going to work there. We need to put a peg on it, then we could move it down. But let's see, instead of using a curve deformer, let's try and use an envelope deformer. Let's see how that works. So we choose our upper lid here. I'm going to pull across, pull down, across, back, and finish. And now down, Alt, adjust that. What I really care about is these two handles right there. So now if I want to animate, I can see. So we do have some options with it as we work, so I'm able to animate, and this might be good. Not entirely sold on it, so let's delete that and try again. So if we going to just add a few extra points there. Let's see if this works a little bit better. And we might need just a third point in the middle there as an option. So now I can pull this up. And if we switch into our render view, we can see how the render view is going to show us things a little bit different as we work compared to where when in our vector view we do sometimes see some pretty awkward things happening. So advantage of doing it this way with upper lid is we are able to control the shape quite nicely up here, but the brow or the eyelid itself wants to break as we're doing this. So if I go back, rigging, grab my envelope, let's try again, upper lid. Now what I could do is even just try and add in my third point. Let's see how that works. So sometimes having this point out here will give me some additional control. So what I like about this is it's not breaking our shape here. So when we look here, we have a cleaner shape. We have our upper lid, which currently is set to go to flesh color. We may want to modify that so it goes from the highlight to the flesh, maybe go from highlight to transparent instead. That could be potentially another way of approaching it. But what we do if we're going to go ahead and use it this way, which I think seems like it's going to work a little bit better, is we just need to do a little bit of cutting on this. So we need to make it so that if this, let's just move this over. So if it extends out beyond the head, because we'll need to modify so when with the hair so that it's not, or we could put it beneath the hair because currently the hair is underneath this eye layer. So we could adjust that. But we will want to make it so that if we do something crazy and it extends beyond the head, that we're trimming it. So let's I'm going to go here and clear that keyframe. So now it's back to its original shape there. That's fine. Actually, let's stick it out so we can see what's going on. And also so we're able to create the eye shape. So it does seem like having the 3 points is going to give me the greatest flexibility of what I'm trying to do in creating that eye shape without using lots of different I'm going to pull these down a little bit so I have room to put some pegs in without doing a bunch of substitution. So let's go grab a cutter here. So we'll go grab a cutter for this upper lid, stick this in on the upper lid so it is now going to be cut. In this case I want to cut it with the auto patch of the head. And we had the auto patch of the head cutting here, bangs, bangs, head auto patch. So I could drag back over from that, but then that just gets a little messy, so I'm going to copy that. Paste this in. And now let's go find, there's the head. Oh, that's not even far away. And invert cut it. Now we probably want to, we know that these layers are for that, so let's go and pull the eye. So the eye is beneath the hair. It makes sense because the eye should never be on top of the hair. Now the eyebrow, I think, is going to work with the deformer as well in the same way that we did for the upper lid. Now one thing to notice on that, with the upper lid, I drew it straight and then we put the curve, because then when I'm choosing to animate this or want to, I can change the curvature of that lid. So when we're closing the eye, so we can pull it down. So we have a lot of flexibility by starting with it straight, and then we put in the curve with the deform. But the brow is always going to be curved like this, so we'll work with that. So let's go, I'll click on that, reset it to its default so it's not, and then just pull this up here, pull that down a little bit there. That now creates that. Now we can click on the eyebrow, grab our rigging tool. We know that we were on envelope before. So we'll just do 1, 2, 3. That gives me my controls to move that eyebrow. Now, as always, what I should have done before I did these is gone here, add in my pegs. It's really hard to see some of those connections like that when we're green on green. Hide those controls. Zoom out a little bit more so we can see what's going on. Okay, oh, I got to put the cheeks beneath the eyes. I can see that right now, but let's go and set up some of these pivot points here. Probably put that near the corner of the eyebrow so we can just rotate if we're not using the deformer. Same thing when we're working with the lid, we put it about there. Lower lid, put it in the tear duct. Now I highlight. Oh, I moved it by accident. Whoops. Put that there. Pupil. Iris. And finally, white of the eye. Here now, pupil, iris, and highlight. Those should be able to kind of, these two will definitely move as a group, so we'll just add a second peg there, put this one, and now this peg, which I should have done that ahead of time, but close enough. And then all of these will need to be under a master peg, so let's go and choose all of that. Pull it down so we have room. And select a few more pegs there. Command or Control P. This is the eye master. Put this here. And name it such. So now we have the eye master. What we may want on this, we may want to add in a couple of OGL controllers, which makes it easy to grab small things like the lower lid, especially when it's sitting on top of the cheek. So we can add in some OGL controllers for it. Okay, they weren't supposed to connect to anything. There we go. Alright, so now we have a couple OGL controllers for this, so we'll be able to select them. So set that by the lower lid here, so we just drag that down to there, and upper lid we drag it to there. Now if I select both of these and go find upper body, and there's my OGL comp. I can just hold down Option and click, and it just joined those two in. Now we can go back and adjust them. So the Alt click is super useful when you're trying to connect things across a lengthy node view. So if I click on that OGL controller here, this is going to be for my upper lid here. So we'll go into setup mode, and I'm going to use a triangle for it, and let's move that up here. We go with a 0.2, shrink it down. Let's go put some text on. Do it at 6 point. We'll go upper lid. And I don't know why. There we go. And let's just move that over to there. Back under controller, turn off setup mode. That's good there. Now if we go to this OGL controller, setup mode, triangle 0.2. Okay, next time remember, move it and then resize it. Makes it a little bit easier. This will be lower lid at 6 point and background alpha 128. And then we move the label so it lines up. Go back, turn off setup mode. We're good to go there. Now if we go into this eye comp in the head, what we need to do is move it so we know that. Let's go find, there's mouth, there's cheek, nose. So what I want to do is move my cheeks. So it's beneath the eye comp, and cheek is beneath the eye comp. And now we can see we are beautifully set up with this. So we have our eye, our nodes are set, our pivot points are set. We're going to create a face peg in a moment here, but what I want to do next is to take this entire backdrop, and let's go under nodes, and we are going to clone this, and then we will flip it. So I'm going to clone that, and that is going to make my, just going to pull it up here for now, and we will call this eye clone, which is probably the naming I should have used, where we have leg, leg clone, arm clone instead of arm left, arm right. That would make more sense. And then we just know our clones all start on the left side of the character. That would have been probably a better option with that. We will join this to our comp in a moment, but what I'm going to do, I need to make a little bit more room because we need 2 more pegs to put in here, so we'll just squeeze those down a little bit. And with that, I now will need a peg, so I can just, and I'm going to call this eye flip peg. So that is going to be our flip peg. And then in between that flip peg and our master peg, I need to put in a static transformation. Now this static transformation is going to hold the information of our flip, which we will now, with this peg selected, what I want to do is scroll down here, select that comp. Now I'm going to follow, here's this eye comp here, and I'm going to just put it right in front of it. So I will hold down option right here and go click. Oh, it missed by 1. So where your cursor is when you alt click is where it puts it. Looks like we have a little, got some weirdness going on here. We'll have to figure that out. But I want to now select this and just do a horizontal flip. There is my eye. Moved it over. We'll have to reconnect the OGL controllers to it. But before we do that, we'll go into our static transformation, bake our parent's transformation. So it's baked, and then we deselect that, and then we just leave this here. So now I can grab my whole eye, let's try that again, grab the whole eye, and with that, we're just doing a permanent, so we can now move it over so it lines up. Not quite sure. Oh, I see. When we created the copy, we lost our head. That's why I'm like, where is my upper lid? So we need to drag from the head into the head auto patch there. Now we get that other lid showing up. That's perfect there. And then we just need 2 more. So alt click on our 2 controllers. Oh, don't want to do that. Not alt click, control click to select them both. Zoom out. Let's go find our OGL controller node. I mean, realistically, I probably could have made 1 for upper body, 1 for lower body, just to simplify. And alt click, join, so we have upper lid, lower lid, so now we get all of our connectors attached. So we're in pretty good shape here, where we have bracer, the face. So what we do want to do is to create a face peg, which is going to correspond to the cheeks, the nose, the eyes, the mouth. So I'm going to, right here, just Command P, and let's just call this face master peg. So that is, and we'll just select the face master peg. I like to usually just kind of put it kind of right at the, kind of between the eyes, top of the nose, in that general vicinity. Now with that selected, we're going to connect it to the other cheek, to the nose, to the mouth. And then also with that selected, I will connect it to this eye and that eye. So now if I grab this and move it, oh, wrong tool, grab this and move it, we'll see where we're able to, with very easy adjustments, we can kind of just do a little subtle. It's almost like our character is looking down, our character is looking up. Of course we have to do some changes to the relationship of our face artwork as well as a little deform work on it. But now we have a face, we have a neck. The only real thing left to do on this frontal view would be to figure out a plan for the collar of the shirt. And, oh, wrong button. So that will be something we can look at next. Might want to, with these together, because we are getting so far apart, it's not a bad idea just to, I think, leave the two eyes on top of each other, or we could separate them. Well, let's make sure that that node, and this are sitting here. So now when I grab this, it all comes together. Perfect. So we can leave those on top because they're fairly straightforward. We could also turn these into a group and then just stick the group in it. We could put the hair into a group. So we really could kind of simplify our overall view, so we just have a full-on head, because the mouth is probably going to go into a group because there's going to be a bunch of parts with it for our different views. But we'll cross that bridge later. So good luck and happy rigging.